Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for the next session. I am so excited to introduce to you Darlene Schindel. Darlene is a registered nurse with a master's degree in health studies in leadership, a certified professional coach with a certificate in deep coaching, and certified in 3D health systems transformation. Darlene is a passionate advocate for the health and well-being of healthcare professionals and all those they care for. During a career that has spanned over 40 years, she has taken on many different roles and tackled various issues and challenges, all with astounding success. In 2013, she received the Alberta Medical Association Medal of Honor. Darlene has come to be known as the nurse's nurse, dedicated to bringing transformational leadership, coaching, and mentoring to nurses and other healthcare professionals. She is passionate about listening to, teaching, and inspiring nurses to use their voice and heart to engage in systems redesign where they work and support them on this journey. Thank you so much for being with us today, Darlene. It's an absolute pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And I have to tell you, it's such a joy to be part of this group. So for anyone that's watching, you can listen to these recordings one by one and take them in when you're ready, because each one of them is like a could hold you in a cocoon and just be so engaging and serve you in a way that maybe at some point you need to hear from Amber, or you need to hear from Valerie, or you need to hear from Claudia, or from Darlene Kuna. Like so. Anyways, I want to talk today about leading where you stand. From the heart with love, because that is what we are all about here. And so, because we've got this SOAP model that we've been using, I thought I would kind of introduce that here too. So, the S stands for, subjective. And in subjective, and we've heard again and again already today about how that's about gathering stories and our emotional truths. And for me, it's interesting that I belong to a lot of different groups, and some of them aren't just nurses. And so I always say you either are a nurse, you know a nurse, or you've been cared for by a nurse. And in all three of those situations, there are stories, and those stories are the key to the healthcare transformation that we are looking to bring. Um, and then, so that's the subjective end of it. Then in the objective, it's about measuring systemic health and dysfunction. So what's working and what isn't working. And so again, we have that systemic word, and for a lot of people, it's still kind of confrontational because it kind of has this us and them connotation. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then the assessment is about diagnosing the root causes of the organizational pain, which is so important. And so to me, that takes us right back to the S, to the stories, because the stories are listening to those frontline caregivers wherever they are. Because if we listen to them, where the transformation happens is that first line manager, your job is to take those stories and move that message upward. And that's how we address the systems problems. And then the planning, design healing interventions from the inside out. So that's where I'm going to be talking about, coming from, lead where you start. All right. So let's talk about leadership. So what is, I'm just going to move this over a little bit. What is the energy and purpose it is the energy and purpose by which you lead yourself each day and how you serve others. So leadership is a very individual, personal thing. And what it isn't is it isn't about title or about authority. And I like Simon Sinek has done a lot of great talks, and one of the things that he always says about leadership is that it's not about, helping the whole organization. It's about helping the person to the right of you and helping the person to the left of you. And I think that if we think about it in that context, it makes it achievable. it doesn't make it sound like, oh my God, like this whole place is falling apart. And what am I going to do? Because that just drags us down into burnout, into I just can't do it and I can't stand it and I can't be here anymore and the sky is falling and all the rest of that. But if you just think, just the person to the left of me and the person to the right of me, and supporting them, they'll support me, and then all of a sudden we have a whole circle of people helping each other out. Okay, so why did the nurse carry a red pen? Anybody? Well, in case she needed to draw blood. And why was the nurse always so calm? Well, because she has a lot of patience. And why did the nurse cross the road to the other side? To help the chicken on the other side with its bandage. So I just had to throw some levity in there, you guys, because um, you know, nursing being a nurse, the nursing profession, it can really be pretty hard. And we've heard a lot of that already. And most people, if there's nurses listening to it, it is hard. It isn't a laughing matter at all. It is a tough times right now in healthcare. So for the nurses that are listening now or listening later, just know that I'm speaking to you now. So if you're a nurse or work in the healthcare field, like listen closely. This is for you. I see you. I understand you. You're extremely hardworking, you're professional, you're caring, you're dedicated, you're knowledgeable. But in today's healthcare system, you're often all those things that we've already talked about in many ways. You're overworked, you're overlooked, you're exhausted, you're stressed out, you feel unseen, unheard. That's a big one. If you're feeling unheard, you're not going to use that voice, which is what we really need to hear, your voice. And the statistics around nursing are extremely bleak. And we've had some amazing presentations already with lots of statistics. So if I told you 36% of nurses report being very burnt out, these statistics will change, but just listen for a minute about what these numbers are saying. 27% of nurses said they would not choose nursing again if they had to choose over to make that choice again. And oftentimes those are the nurses who are just starting. Half of all the nurses, 50%, have experienced verbal and physical abuse by patients or family members in the past 2, 3, 4 years. And we've heard that already today as well. This has led to 26% of nurses considering leaving their current roles and not really knowing what they're looking for, but just saying, I can't do this anymore. 88% of nurses are concerned about the negative effects of staffing in the area they're working in and what those shortages mean on patient care. And 63% report being assigned too many patients. So it's the workload. It's tough. We know that 1 in 4 people in our healthcare systems, I'm talking globally here now, are harmed in our healthcare systems. And you're going, what? 1 in 4? How can that be? That's 25% of all people. And the problem is that nurses just don't have the capacity. A number of years ago, nurses might have had 45 or 47, 50 tasks to do in a day. Today, it's 125. How can nurses possibly do all of those things? And so I want to say to nurses, I hear you, I see you, I understand you, because I'm one of you. I am a nurse. So I know what you're going through. You're trying to do your job, give excellent care to your patient, but things keep getting harder and harder, and you're feeling disillusioned and disengaged. You've lost your enthusiasm for going to work. There isn't enough time in your shift to do the kind of work that you want to do and give the kind of care you want to give. And sometimes patients are hostile because they're in fear mode too. The doctors are unkind, you're feeling confused and overwhelmed and not sure what direction to lead in. And it's bleeding into your everyday life, affecting your family, your friendships. That is the scariest thing. It's affecting your health, your wellness. You're seriously thinking of leaving your job. Stop being a nurse because you just can't see your way out of things. But here's the thing. What if I told you nurses don't have a job problem? They have a purpose problem. Think about that. You don't have a job problem, you have a purpose problem. It seems like leaving your job will solve everything. And, I have nurses coming up to me telling me all the time, it's the job, it's the job. And I get that. But let's take the job out of that and let's look at that, for a minute. Let's dig into what you want, what you need, what you want, and where you are headed. Maybe it's still in nursing, and maybe it's something completely different, or maybe it's some kind of third option that you want to do. You might think it's all about hating your job, and that's understandable. Many of us have been there. Heck, I've thought about it. I've changed things I've done because I was let go from positions that I really loved. But if we take the job out of the equation, what's left? What do you want your whole life to look like? That's the real question. Nailing this down about what your job is, it's about more than that. It's your whole life. Being a nurse is just one part of it, but you need to know what you want for your life, your whole life to look like. Your job is just a piece. You need to know how it fits to your home life, your personal life, your goals, and how it all comes together. It all starts with figuring out what you want and understanding what your purpose is in life. It's not the job, it's the stress. And here's some things nurses have said. When I actually get to do my job, it's a great day. When I get to work to the full scope of my license and my expertise, when I get to spend time with my patients and have space to educate them, when I get my essential rest breaks and eat and hydrate to be able to leave the unit in a better place than I found it, I really feel amazing. I remember that I love what I do and I'm pretty darn good at it. So here's the thing. That's the whole question. What do you want? Where are you headed? If you take the job out of the question, what's left? What do you want for your whole life? And for me, this is where a lot of this comes together. So I love the work of Stephen Covey because I think it puts all of this together. And so he talks about the four intelligences of your needs. So we've heard body, mind, heart, and spirit. We know what that is. So the body, that's the to live part. That's about your survival. If you don't have a job that pays you fairly, you can't afford food, you can't afford, a safe place to live, all of those things, that's critical. So if we want to live, we need to have that capacity, the body of us, which is about eating well, drinking well, spending time in meditation and things that will help us to be grounded and to care for ourselves. Key. Then to the mind, that's about learning. That's about growth and development, about use me creatively. We all want to feel that we're being used creatively. And then from there, we move to the heart. That's all about love, but that's in relationships. And you want to be treated kindly. And look what's happened as a result of post-pandemic, even more disconnection, not feeling connected to people and feeling like, oh, I'll just not do this because we couldn't go out and couldn't meet with people. And honestly, what I would love more than anything to be sitting with all of you in one room together, seeing your actual beautiful faces in real time and looking into your eyes and giving you a hug and saying you matter. And then spirit, that's all about we want to have a purpose. We want to, again, like what am I here for? And that's the love of it. Like, Lord, what am I here for? What's my job? We want to have meaning and contribution. That's the whole thing about letting me serve. So all of those things work together. Here's the other thing. Just like we have this in a person, we also have this in organizations. So Organizations have these same four needs. So, in the body of the organization that you work for, that's the physical part. So, the financial health of that organization in the body is key. And as many speakers have already talked about, if that's all the organization is looking at the financial health, and they're making everything based on just the financial, the physical part of the organization, then if we go to the next one where it's about the mental, the mind, the growth and development of their people, most people will say, I don't feel that from my organization. So if you're the leader of your organization, think about that. The body is your financial health, but it's so much more. You also have to consider the mind, growth and development. And then the heart of your organization is your relationships. What are your relationships like for the person to the right of you and the left of you? If you're the CEO of the organization, you've got them there, but then you've got everybody below you. How sad is it if the chief nursing officer doesn't even know the people that she's responsible for? And spirit, meaning, integrity, and contribution. Do you work for an organization that hasn't described their purpose, their meaning, have integrity and contribution? If you don't know that, or if there's not a connection, there's an organization here in my city in Canada, and they are called a Caritas a healthcare system. And I have been wanting to, ever since I've heard you talk about this, Darlene, I've been wanting to go and do a survey with them to say, what does Caritas mean to you? Because if they know it, if they live it, that's what we need. I could talk about this forever, but I do want to move in. So, how do you repair a work culture when you're not the one at the top? And I hear this a lot from nurses. Well, I can't do anything. I'm just at the bedside. So, and so people get kind of worried about that. I can't do it. But then here's the thing, be the leader that you wish you had. Know what you want that leader to look like. And then be that person. Because as I said, you are the leader to the person just to the left and the right of you, and you can have influence. Work to have impact in the sphere that you can influence. So don't think about, oh, I can't do it all. You can't. But that's not what we're being asked to do. Let's just, in our zone of genius and who we're created to be, let's bring that. Here's another one of Simon Sinek's sayings. You may not be able to impact the whole organization, but you can impact the people with whom you work, those to the side of you, those who may be below you in hierarchy, and believe it or not, even those who are above you. They are human beings. So this is my message. Let your joy be in your journey, not in some distant goal. It's not someday I'm going to be there. Today, my joy today was being able to be here and to listen to the messages and to be able to say, "Oh my gosh, I can go back and listen. I can go back and listen to what Amber said. She had some good talk. I want to hear that talk Darlene gave again. I could listen to David Dibble, who I did his whole course with all the time, and Apoorv and everybody that's listening and everybody that's going to listen down the road. But you have to know what brings you joy and then be that joy and let your joy be in your journey, not something that you're going to achieve down the road. It's going to be your guiding light in your whole journey every single day. And that's the way you'll show up and that's the way people will engage with you. I love Maya Angelou's thinking and some of the things that she said. And she said, "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeats so that you can know who you are, what you can rise from, and how you can still come out of it." And if you think about that, this should be our poster for anything post-COVID. It may be necessary to encounter the defeats. We've encountered those defeats. You know, I still know who I am, and I know that I can rise from it. And what's my next thing? What's the next part of my journey moving forward? And how can I be the change? How can I be the things that nurses need? How can I help them be the change and be who they really are. Because in the end, we need to have nurses be whole people, all of the people that work in healthcare, and even the patients that are in great fear. When they hear all the stories about what's happening in healthcare and they have to go to the hospital and it's like the sky is falling, like they're in fear of what could happen. And we as a society, we need to also release that. So knowing that we as a human are part of a greater society and we show up and we can bring that love and that joy to our everyday life with our family, with our children, with our extended family, it makes a huge difference of how you show up as the person that you are. I I I could share so many things, and I really like this Teddy Roosevelt talk, but I've revised it a little bit, just a little bit. So you can read along with it here. And I'm going to read you my version. I've just changed a few of the pronouns, and it might relate to nurses and to healthcare people a little bit more. But he says, it's not the critic who counts, not the person who points out how the strong stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the woman who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again. But there is no effort without error or shortcoming. But who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends herself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if she falls, at least she if she fails, at least she fails while daring greatly, so that her place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who knew neither victory nor defeat. You, my fellow nurses, are the ones in the arena. Your faces may be marred by the dust and the sweat and the blood of this noble work, but it is you who strive valiantly every day. You may err and come up short at times, but this is your great enthusiasm and devotion that makes a huge difference every day. You are spending yourselves in a worthy cause, and that is something truly remarkable. So go forth with knowledge that you are making a difference and you are the difference maker. Lead with compassion and love, and always remember your purpose. Together, we can transform healthcare from the inside out, and you can live the life you've always dreamed of. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Darlene. So wonderful, so inspiring. Truly, truly the nurse's nurse, Darlene. Love it. Thank you so much.
Oh, and here's me. Yeah, the nurse's nurse. So my whole passion is about getting to the heart of nursing from the bedside to the boardroom. And I would love to connect with you if I haven't already, because most of us are connected on LinkedIn. That would be amazing. And I also have, a little ebook called The Nurse Awakening. And if you'd like a copy, just connect with me and I'm happy to send it to you. Because the more nurses that we can have leading with heart and love, the better. Because we are we're the ones that are going to make the difference. If we stay in fear, we can't move forward. We get more stuck and we drown. So let's move on with love.
Thank you so much, Darlene. Absolutely love it. And your LinkedIn and your website is in the chat. So make sure you connect with Darlene.
Awesome.
Thank you so much again. And we're going to wrap up this session and head over to the next Zoom with Dr. Diana Londoño. And we will see you over there. Thank you so much, Darlene.